Can you really set up your Pilates business with less than $500, 500 euros? Absolutely. I'm living proof of it. I've done it, and I'm here to show you how, the tips, the tricks, and all the necessary things you need to do to be able to start this hard to get into industry, because the equipment is so expensive, right? So for you to be able to get yourself started with less than 500 euros, $500, you're really going to manage to create a sustainable business and eventually a six-figure sum, just like I have done. Stick around if you like and you're excited about this idea. Just subscribe, like this video, and share with as many of your friends as you can so that everybody knows how to get into this industry. So before we start, I have to say to you, I made loads of notes so you guys don't miss out on anything, and I've got them written here for you. And I just wanted to go through the step-by-step process. Now, this applies to Pilates, yoga, personal training, and anything to do within the fitness industry, within the wellness industry. You don't even need to be teaching classes, but of course, the principle is going to apply for all units, for all modules. So I started with a brick and mortar business, and I had a very minimal outlay, and then I moved on to more classes, more equipment, and eventually I started with creating more income, getting more teachers, creating a business whereby I created a Pilates Academy, Pilates Teacher Training Academy, and then laterally I opened my own Pilates retreat in Spain, and this is my dream job. I'm loving it. I'm coaching other people on how to create their own dream businesses. I'm coaching other new Pilates teachers who are wanting to get into the industry but perhaps don't have the confidence, they don't have the ability to think about how to set up their classes or how to set up their business, and I really want to give you that step-by-step process to be able to start. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you and tell you exactly what I did, and there's a lot to go through, so please just stay, make a note, make sure that you've got some notes. Maybe you can take a notepad, take some notes, and then you'll be able to figure out what's going to work for you and what isn't going to work for you. Now, if anybody's telling you that you need to get investing into this and buy this fancy equipment, create this fancy website, have an amazing logo with fancy colors, before you even start selling your courses or before you even start taking clients in, then really you're wasting your time and your money. People don't really care. I'm sorry to say this, people just care about what you can do for them. How can you deliver to them? How can you make them a zero to a hero? How can you transfer that zero to hero? How can you give them something that they really want? That's what the guys are looking for. That's what your clients are looking for. So these things are going to come into play later. Things like the logo, the business, the website, the marketing, everything else is just going to come in later. What you need to figure out is how to set up your classes, how to bring people in, how to even sell your classes before you're even giving them. So these are the tips, and these are the tricks that I really want to go through with you. Okay. When I refer to brick and mortar business, I mean having a physical studio to give classes in. So if you are in the wellness industry, you know that you need some sort of space to be able to give the sessions. Today, thanks to the internet, and in a way thanks to situations like COVID, we're now onto the online industry, which is great. But although you can reach the whole world, it's a much harder place to step into. So brick and mortar, having the local community, having your family, having your friends to support you is really going to be the game changer for you. Okay, so here we go. Sales, marketing, finance, operations, and fulfillment. That is delivering what your clients need, right? Okay. So I'm going to make a lot more sense of this as we go along. So the first thing you need to know is that when you're starting your business, it's not really much an investment of your money, but very much whether you are in the Pilates industry, in the yoga industry, in the wellness industry, Tai Chi, meditation, whatever you're giving, it is an investment of your time. Be prepared to put loads and loads and loads of your time in it so that you get started. So that's really your big initial outlay. It's not really going to be about finances, it's going to be about your commitment and your time and your focus into it. So you're monetizing your brain and your intellectual property, and you're not having to take stock of physical products, right? You're giving a service. So you don't really have a lot of costs up front. With Pilates, it's different because you'd say, well, hang on a minute, I'm a comprehensive teacher. I know I need to buy equipment. Well, this is where I come in to help you, because I was a comprehensive teacher when I started my own business. I'd done my certification program. I was super scared of spending any money because I didn't have it. Quite frankly, I just didn't have it. I couldn't buy the equipment and the reformers, the Cadillacs, the chairs. Everything was just super expensive. I thought, there's no way I'm going to afford to open up my own studio. Well, I started small, and then as my classes grew, as I grew, as my name grew, as my brand grew, then I could invest more and more and more into this whole equipment. And I ended up with a Pilates studio with 8 reformers, 8 towers, Cadillacs, leather barrels, and petty poles, and the electric chair, the whole bang. I had a full studio. I still have a full studio. I am able to teach from anywhere, but I had to start from nothing. And this is really what's really important. In the starting from nothing, we have to invest our time, not essentially our income, not essentially our money, right? The biggest thing is to know that when I started my business, like I said, it started with my brain. So I started based off my own experience, of my own story. So if you're interested in having a Pilates or yoga or wellness business, you have to try to figure out what did it for you. How did it change it for you? Why did you even get into the Pilates industry? Why did you even get into the wellness industry in the first place? And you really need to have your story. You need to have a passion. You need to understand why you wanted to teach, because this is a very, very, very important concept when you are trying to attract people to come and take your classes. Okay, if you had a resolution, if you had the Pilates method or yoga solved a problem for you, maybe you started the method because you had back problems, or you were super stiff and you wanted to get more mobility, more flexibility, and it managed to sort it for you. Whatever you practiced, you had an amazing teacher and you practiced, you loved it so much that you decided to become a teacher. And that's where your passion to teach Pilates came from, to teach yoga, to teach your wellness came from. So you have your own story, and this is super important to put into your time when you are starting your own business. So for me, I started my business, which now has thousands of clients all over the world. Straight after I moved country, I was a single mom. I went back to my home country, which is a tiny little island called Malta in the middle of the Mediterranean. And it's just south of Italy, and it's just really difficult to even buy equipment on the island. Accessibility is very difficult because importation costs are very high, duty is expensive, taxes are expensive. So when I started, I was a single mom, just gone through a really horrible divorce, and I needed to create an income for my son, for my family. And I felt I was scared. I had no confidence, absolutely zero confidence. I thought, I'm never gonna manage, I'm never gonna succeed. Nobody really knew what comprehensive Pilates was, what Pilates on equipment was, and I felt that I needed to educate an island. And I had a load of people asking me really what is Pilates about, and I had to explain the difference between Pilates on the mat and Pilates on the equipment, and yoga. And that wasn't even the big game changer for me. I mean, the big issue for me was confidence. I just had no confidence. I was a relatively new teacher coming over from Spain. So I certified in Spain, coming over to Malta with little experience within the industry, knowing nobody, only just my family. I'd been living away from the island for nearly 20 years, so it wasn't like I knew so many people on the island, and yet I still managed to pull it through. I still managed to start my business because I had so much passion about it. So the first thing that I started with were 2 Pilates springboards. So here's the investment. Here was my initial outlay. Okay, I invested my time. I had to put in a lot of my own time and effort into educating people. But I started with 2 Pilates springboards, and you'd say, well, what? Springboards? It's not even classical Pilates. I know, I understand. But I wrecked my brain trying to figure out how I'm going to be different to everybody else that was out there, how I was going to be different to people who are teaching any kind of exercise in my area, and I wanted to bring Pilates with springs in my local area. Now, if you already have some kind of competition in your area, that's absolutely fine. That's not going to stop you from creating your own method, from creating your own business, because at the end of the day, people are going to come to work with you. They're going to like what you're giving them. Don't even try to copy another business, to copy another business formula, to see what your competitors are doing and just to copy what they're doing, because that is not going to work. And if it does work, it will only be for a very short period of time. Why? Because it's not you. You're not selling you. You are not selling yourself. You really need to figure out what makes you tick, and that's going to be your game changer when you're selling your services. So these 2 Pilates springboards really are just the 2 boards. I'm sure if you're in the Pilates industry, you should already be aware of these 2 plain MDF boards that you can bolt into the walls, and you can buy yourself some springs, and that's really where the bulk of the cost is. The bulk of the cost is actually buying the springs, because you can even put 2 normal plain Pilates mats on the floor. That is how I started, and that was the bulk of my cost. So really, I didn't have any other costs in that respect. Now you've got to figure yourself, what was your game changer? What really made you love the method that you want to teach? If you have a yoga business, if you're starting up with a yoga business, you have an even less outlay, because you don't need to be buying springboards and springs and all the other shebang stuff that Pilates has and puts into the equation. So if you're looking at yoga or Tai Chi or a meditation or even a nutritional business, you don't even need to have that outlay. And quite frankly, you don't even need a website. Really, you're trying to sell yourself and you're trying to sell your services. Okay, so if you're still on your learning journey, so I'm saying you're still not a fully certified Pilates teacher, you obviously need to figure out, how can I start with beginner clients? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be hurting anybody, right? So what I suggest here is that you speak to your course provider, to your comprehensive course provider, and figure out at what stage you're able to start teaching new people, beginner clients. Talking about teacher training, I also have a teacher training program, Anita Horry Academy Comprehensive Pilates Teacher Training Program, whereby I go through all this information with my students, and I don't only teach them on how to teach the exercises and how to let their knowledge transfer to their clients' bodies, but also teaching them on business skills, on teaching them on what kind of equipment they should be buying and how they should be starting. And knowing that I can share this with my own students, I thought there's no other way of me sharing it with anybody else who's maybe toying with the idea of certifying, or maybe just certified and they don't really have an idea of how to start their business, and maybe they don't get this from their comprehensive program. And this is where I'm here. You can email me, you can click on the link below, you'll be able to find out more information on my site. And if you don't find the information on my site, please do contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. So going back to having done your certification, and you now know that you have to develop a niche market, right? You have to find your niche. You need to understand what helped you become a teacher, why you chose to become a teacher. So the biggest thing that we're going to start with here is finding your niche now. And that is really what's going to make your sales. Okay, so looking at sales. You don't really have a business unless you have sales, right? You need to be able to sell to be able to have a business. So the first focus in your business, no matter what you're starting, is going to be sales. Okay, so the first thing is client acquisition. That is what sales is about. It's client acquisition. So how are you going to find new people? How are you going to find a couple of clients, your first couple of clients? How are you going to work with this? Okay, so a lot of people are going to tell you, okay, start advertising on this social media, start advertising, do flyers, print brochures, do business cards, send it out. No, you don't need to be doing any of that. You don't need to pay 1 cent in advertising. You don't need to be doing any of that. What you need to start doing is, hello, interacting. You need to start interacting with people. And yes, I also understand that maybe if you are a new teacher, a beginner teacher, you don't really have the confidence. You think, okay, maybe I'm not good enough, you know, there's so many better teachers than I am, and I can't teach Pilates. I really feel I need a little bit more experience before I'll be able to teach Pilates and actually monetize from it. No, absolutely no. As long as you have some kind of beginner certification program, some kind of beginner certification, you are able to start with beginners and you are able to monetize from teaching Pilates. So you've had your equipment, you've bought your 2 springboards, and I'll show you how to set them up. I've also got a link to a free downloadable link to be able to show you how to set up your 2 springboards in your own home. That's where I started. I started in my living room. Then I moved on to bigger premises within 6 months, and then within 2 years I had to move on to another bigger premises because I just couldn't cope with the demand. Right? So start talking to your family, talking to your friends. Just speak to anyone and everyone about your passion, and your passion is going to come through. People are going to understand and see how passionate you are about Pilates. Then, look at your first platform. What is your first platform? Your first platform is going to be the people you know. My first platform was my old workplace. So I took a job that I hated when I moved to Malta, and I started talking about Pilates, and I was even doing some Pilates with my work colleagues. And when I decided that was it, I'm quitting, I really need to do this full time, this is going to be my passion, this is my life, my old work colleagues started coming to me. And the most amazing thing happened that really was a game changer for me, because my own beautician sent me so many people, I had so many classes, and I started working so many hours that I actually got burnt out. And I got burnt out very early on in my career because I was giving so many privates, so many semi-privates. I was working so many hours, and I thought, okay, I'm doing something wrong here. What is it that I'm doing? What is it that I can change? Of course, the first thing you think about is you got to teach more people, right? But you got to teach more people in 2 ways. You either increase your hours or you increase the number of people you have in your classes. That's when I decided to move premises, and I moved premises to a bigger unit, and I was already earning the money. So I was able to invest the money that I started earning back into my business, buying more equipment. And this was at the time when I bought the reformers, and I bought more equipment, and I bought the chairs, and then I bought the leather barrel, and bit by bit started increasing my business, and I started really scaling my business to the point where it is now. So the 6-figure sum happens, and it really does happen. You just need to stay focused and be very clever on where to invest your income. Yes, you could go back to creating more springboards. Really simple. I was very lucky. I had a very good fiance who decided to help me with putting up the springboards. Yeah, you do need to make sure that the springboards really attach firmly into the wall, obviously for health reasons. And then creating more springboards is going to generate more people in the class, and ka-ching, you're going to create more revenue, right? Reduce your hours. You don't have to work so many hours. And the other thing is, be selective in who you're going to work with. That is so important, especially for us caregivers, because we work with people who drain our energy. We work with people who want us to change their lives. Maybe they have back issues, maybe they have health issues, maybe they're there because they want to have a fantastic new figure, maybe they want to tone up. But the most amazing thing is that we are there to change lives. Yes, we want to have our own wellness program set up. And how can you create your own wellness program? How can you even keep up your wellness program if you are working so many hours? So by increasing your class sizes, ka-ching, that was your tip number 2, is going to create more income, more revenue, and a load more happy clients. This is the first thing, that's your sales. Now, how are you going to create the production line? How are you going to create that circle where clients are going to keep coming and over and over and over again? Once you start giving your good service, you're going to have people referring. You're going to have more people referring, family and friends, and the circle just goes on and on and on. They're going to be your ambassadors for your business, which in turn is going to create more people coming to your classes, coming to your sessions, which in turn is going to increase your revenue. And that's how the circle continues. Right. Now, you might want to create some kind of internet profile. You want to have some kind of social media profile. Yeah, once you have created your business, once you're in your business and you're starting to create more income, absolutely, now's the time to start investing into your social media programs, into your website, into your good marketing. You don't even need to spend money on amazing photo shoots. I have not spent any money on my social media accounts. The only time that I had professional photo shoots and video shoots done was when I created my academy, and I had to have good content and good videos for my students, and when I was marketing my academy. No, this came way down the line. Really, I didn't need to spend any money on marketing, on advertising, and not even having to pay sponsored ads on any of the social media programs. So I'd really suggest that you just focus on what you're giving as a service to your clients. So you are giving expert content, you are giving expert advice, you are giving expert knowledge to your clients, and clients are willing to pay for it. Clients are wanting to get into your doors and work with you. That is super important that you keep that wheel going. So that's where your referrals come in. That's where you start getting that circle moving. So this goes across the board. You don't really need to be a Pilates teacher or a wellness teacher to do this. Marketing really is a very similar thing, as long as you understand that marketing is not about paying money for people to advertise. It is really about building relationships and giving value. OMG, you have to understand that it is all about giving value. It's not about making sure that you spend so much in advertising per month so that you get X amount of clients in return. Really, that old form of marketing is long gone, and you don't really need to be doing that anymore. So as I said, building your MailChimp database is going to really help you to communicate and build your community. And I really need you to understand this, because it's very, very important that you create that communication with your clients. So the next process is going to be enlisting people to other services that you offer. And this is where you start using your social media. So maybe you start using YouTube, or you can start using Facebook, and you can start creating your own little adverts just to inform people of other services or events that you've got running, and basically increase your revenue, right? So I really had no knowledge of advertising or marketing. I am an ex-accountant from trade. Finance was my background before I started as a Pilates teacher. But I did a little bit of graphic design just at the very beginning, when I was in college, just trying it out. And I also had the opportunity to try it out in one of my previous jobs, but nothing major. I never really did it as a profession. So I started playing with Illustrator and all the Microsoft tools that my laptop just gave me. Then I discovered Canva. Oh my goodness. So we've got Canva. It is a free online tool that helps you create your social media posts, your Instagram, your Facebook. I believe even Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I only really use Facebook. That's my platform. I use YouTube now because of the video content that I do, and also Vimeo for some of my videos. But essentially, Canva can create a load of content for you to be able to communicate in a visual way that's going to attract more and more clients to you. So it's going to really give you that push to be able to create opt-ins and PDFs and free content that you want to keep communicating with your community. Remember that not all your posts have to be about selling. You are just going to tire and bore your clients with selling. You really need to give them good content that's going to be valuable content that then will eventually turn into something that you're monetizing from. Okay, so you can get more people to sign up to your programs using Canva, because Canva is an amazing tool. Now, when you start getting more people in through the doors, when you start seeing this whole turnaround of people referring each other, you're going to understand how word of mouth really works. Because even on social media, when you post a post, or even you get into these Facebook groups, you get to the social media groups, people are always asking, I'm looking for a Pilates teacher in my area, or I'm looking for a yoga teacher, etc. What's, who's good, who's not. And then you'll get a flood of information, a flood of referrals from your own clients referring you. And that's where you're starting to build your brand, because at the end of the day, people are knowing that you're amazing. So, in my case, that have people posting posts on Facebook groups saying, gosh, you want to go to Anita Horry, she's the best in Pilates, you gotta go there, she gives you the dedicated attention, she knows her stuff, she knows what she's doing, you gotta go there. You got Pilates, you gotta go there. She's the Pilates person on the island, she's the Pilates person in the area. Now I have a studio also in Spain. I'm hardly in Spain a few months. I'm already getting referrals from people coming over to us, coming over to my studio, because they see the quality that we give. This is the brand that you start to build, and this is the name that you give for yourself. And really, they're going to tell everybody else, or your clients or your ambassadors, and it's super important to build your ambassador base, because they're just giving out, they're your marketing for you, they are your free marketing. This is really valuable. This is really valuable for you to understand, because you have to remember this is such a big factor to understand when you're trying to grow your business. Okay, it's always the baseline of how you're going to grow your business. Okay, so think about having the email list, and you've got your MailChimp. Now, how about a website? You don't really need a website. You can even start with a landing page. Now, MailChimp has that upgrade where you can actually start creating landing pages. And a landing page, all you really need is an information about who you are, what you do, and where you give your services, and what people expect to to get from coming and working with you. So that is your profile, that is your face out to the internet, just to the world online. Okay, so you really don't need any fancy websites. Yes, you can go out there, do your fancy photo shoots and doing these whole amazing video shoots that are going to cost you an arm and a leg, but you don't really need anything like that to start off with. As I said, upgrading to MailChimp is going to give you that opportunity to go into and create landing pages. And I used WordPress. I used WordPress when I started. And WordPress, what's great about WordPress is that it gives you a ton of free templates and you can just choose your template. Now, of course, you kind of need a little bit of technical knowledge or maybe a little bit of internet knowledge, but MailChimp is super easy to create, very easy format. And if you feel that you really need some support with it, then perhaps you can ask a friend, or you can ask maybe a graphic design student or a media student to be able to do it for you. And you can even offer a free Pilates class or maybe a bunch of free Pilates classes to trade in for the services. And that really goes for any kind of service that you feel you need to pay for, you know? So as you start scaling your business, it would be a really good idea to set up the website, right? But at your inception, you don't need to create any more than just a landing page. It really is enough. The next thing is finance. So finance is a very important part of running a business, and this is where many people shy away from having their own business, and many people feel they're super afraid to create this business because they don't know how to run the administration part of it. I totally get it. I totally understand. And I guess that perhaps I had a little bit of an advantage initially because I had a finance background. It is important to get your finances in order. It totally is. And it is very important to understand how much you can reinvest back into your business, because yes, you've got revenue coming in, but you also have to understand that there are taxes to pay. There is perhaps maybe rent to pay and social security to pay, all these hidden costs that when you start up your business you don't really understand, you don't know that are about. You know, of course, the first thing that I would suggest is this is going to be very different depending on which country you're operating from, but speak to a financial accountant, speak to somebody who can help you, and obviously be very honest and say to them that you're just starting out, you have no idea what your costs are going to be, so then you'll be able to figure out some kind of break-even point. Now, what is a break-even point? A break-even point is the amount of turnover that you have to generate to be able to cover all your costs. Now, let's take it right from scratch and let's think about you starting like I did from my apartment with 2 springboards in my home, in my lounge, and 2 mats, right? So your initial costs are going to be what? Okay, the springboards and the mats and the springs, correct? You're going to have to create a business account. You're going to create, you don't need to operate a business account as in a business bank account, but I suggest to start things right from the very beginning, from day one, is to open a separate business account, your own personal account. Speaking to a financial advisor, speaking to an accountant is going to help you create a system based on where you're living. You have your initial costs, which are your essentially assets, and then your operating costs are going to be the costs that are involving things that you're going to be using so that you'll be able to run your business. So going back to the beginning again, where you have your 2 new clients coming in to start working with you on your 2 springboards, you're going to need to clean your equipment, so you probably need to use cleaning products, and there are minimal costs, correct? The only really big costs are going to be taking out insurances, and perhaps dealing with administration costs with accountants or financial advisors. And of course, getting yourself on the social security system, and that's going to be your social security costs. But it all depends whether you are doing this full-time, part-time. So this is why I'm not giving you financial advice here. I believe it's best that you stay within your country. Just go to your financial advisor, get financial advice. There is a book I want to refer you to. It's an amazing book which I believe really works well for people in our industry, and it's called Profit First. Profit First is a great book, and I'm going to send you a link with this because it gives you a good outlay on how you should be setting up your business. But again, it differs from country to country. Now, looking at your finances, you think, okay, what do I need to do? How am I going to generate my income? How am I going to invoice my clients? So I first started with paper invoices, those paper invoice books that you'd buy from the stationery shop. But then of course, I had to, once you give your fiscal receipts, once you give your tax receipts, you need to get yourself set up into the system. And depending on which country you're from, it might be computerized or it might still be in paper form. In my case, it was in paper form when I first started, and then I went on to an online system, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that very, very soon. But remember that you have to follow through with invoicing your clients and of course charge the appropriate tax rates, and this is something that you need to discuss with your financial advisor. Okay, rather than using paper invoicing, if you're able to go onto online invoicing or something, you don't need to use a specific within your country, you don't have to use a specific program to do your invoicing. There are two programs that you can use that are online and they are free, and that's one is called Invoicely and the other one is called Invoice Home, and they do the same job as invoicing without you having to use paper format, and they're free services at the moment. So if you want to monetize from that, if you want to use them, they're free for you to be able to use. The other thing that is very important when you're starting your business is scheduling clients. So I started with my paper diary. I started with marking people on my diary, and whenever I had cancellations or people wanting to change their sessions, I would just cross them out and then put them on the other day. And of course, we're human and we can make errors, and we can really end up just not monetizing appropriately from running our schedules. So I would always suggest that you start not with a pen and paper pad or the A4 diary. I really suggest that you go straight on to online calendars. And there's nowadays things are very, very different to when I started. So there's Google Calendar that you can use. It's an online scheduling program. There's Outlook Calendar, and there's also Calendly. Calendly is an amazing tool for scheduling, booking calls, booking appointments, making sure you're not actually having to go back and forth with people and get them booked back into your calendar. So scheduling client sessions is really easy on Calendly, and you can just use the free option for it. Once I scaled my business, I went onto this program called Get Timely. Now, Get Timely is a New Zealand-based program, and it is for spas and wellness businesses, and I use this for my Pilates center. And Get Timely is an amazing tool, and it starts subscriptions, I believe, at about $25 a month. I'm not exactly sure, you'd have to just check that, and I'll send you the link below. But what Get Timely does is it creates that online scheduling system. It also sends reminders for your clients before they come to class, so you don't lose money on canceled classes or lost spaces in your classes. It also has an invoicing system, so it does all your invoicing for you. It creates statements so you can chase people for money. It also connects and it links onto MailChimp. So all your clients from Get Timely can be transferred onto MailChimp, and that's when you start getting your marketing in tune with your current customer database. And it really saves a whole lot of time for you. It really is a great investment for you. So there's another program called MindBody Online, which the majority of people in the industry use. But MindBody Online is way too expensive, and it definitely is not something that you should be going into if you've just started your business. So if you want to have a look at it, you by all means just go and have a look at MindBody Online. There's some amazing tools in MindBody Online, and I'm sure that you could get somebody from a representative from MindBody Online to contact you to be able to discuss their services further. But Get Timely works really well for me, and I'm happy with it, and I'm happy to refer you to that. So if you don't want to invest your funds into Timely or MindBody Online, and you have a Google account, you can just use your Google Forms, and then you'll be able to create your communication methods with your clients through Google Forms. You know, you can even do questionnaires on Google Forms and stuff like that. So moving on in financing, we have to look at how to take payment, right? So when I initially started, I was taking cash. Of course, people still use checks in Malta. Yes, I know it's archaic, but yes, people still do. And of course, PayPal or credit card. And there are now a bunch of other things that people can pay with. I also did bank transfers at the time when obviously we weren't so in tune with all these new apps that you can have on your phone. Okay. Nowadays, there are so many different methods, free methods for you to accept payment from clients. It depends obviously on the country that you're in. I know that in many countries in Europe, there's a program called Revolut, which is free. Bizum, I know, is available in Spain. Apple Pay and Zelle are two other popular payment methods. So for tax purposes, I'm not going to tell you which method you should be using, but I do suggest that you connect with your financial advisor and speak to your accountant and advise which method perhaps would be most suitable for you. Now, I mentioned Profit First by Mike Michalovitz, and Michalovitz, I hope that I've pronounced his name properly, as you're starting to build your business. Even if you haven't started one yet, this book is a real game changer when it comes to building wealth and making money from a wellness business. It really breaks down on exactly how you should organize your finances in your business, and essentially it's a very good resource. Okay, so the next thing is operations. So it was me, myself, and I. So there weren't really operations when I first started, right? So to be totally honest, we didn't have any operations set up. All I was doing is everything myself. I was cleaning, I was doing the accounting, I was doing the marketing, I was doing the teaching, and yes, that's when I got burnt out. So what I started to realize quite a bit early on in my time when I started my business is that I had to document everything. So my recommendation to you is this: document every process that you do from A to Z. When you start doing anything that has nothing to do with you teaching. So if it's any of the admin work, any of the marketing work, any of the social media stuff, any of dealing with accountants, even ordering your cleaning products or whatever, just document it so that when you start employing staff, which you will be in the longer run, then you're gonna just simply pass all that information to them, and they don't have to keep coming back to you and saying, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's obviously going to waste your time. So documenting it all is going to really help you. And I wish I had done it sooner, but I did learn on pretty early on in my business process that I had to start documenting. And of course, in documenting it, then you'll be able to perhaps figure out maybe there's some flaws in the process that you're doing, and then obviously gives you the opportunity to fix them. Okay, so even things like customer queries, how do I answer my clients? How do I answer a query if it comes through email, if it comes on my WhatsApp or maybe my social media account? What kind of answers do I give to clients? And if you're starting to employ people, your staff are going to know what to say to your prospective clients. Yes, so collecting payments or paying suppliers and things like that is really going to help you with your processes. The final thing is fulfillment. Do you give your clients what they came in for? Do you actually give them what you've promised them? Do you give them the transformation that they needed? Do you give them the outcome that they were really looking for at the very beginning when they wanted to start and work with you? So at the very beginning, all I did was just making sure that I give a Pilates session, and that was it, right? And I was just hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that everything was great and the client was happy, etc., etc. Okay, then I started realizing that, hang on a minute, I care. I really care. I care about these people. I care that they improve. I care that they actually get what they subscribed for. I get what they came in for. And I started changing my sessions to have 15 minutes between classes so that I could spend the time after class and maybe at the beginning of the class to discuss with my client on whether they have any particular requests for that session, or whether they feel that their previous session was beneficial to them, whether they feel better from the session so far, and really to start to build that rapport with them and to start creating that relationship that's just going to be about care and giving value. My time with the client does not end when I finish my class. My time with the client and my value to the client is going to continue after the session, and I even give them homework and I say, perhaps you need to be doing these set of exercises to help you increase your core strength. So I remember at the beginning I had a ton of women with a totally dead transverse abdominis, right? So the TA was just maybe that had surgery, that had the hysterectomy, or maybe that had C-section, and their transverse abdominis was just totally gone. And whenever they started working out, they were feeling the pain in the lower back. And I started to try and figure out, okay, so how am I going to help them? Remember, this was early on in my career where I really didn't know a lot. And that's when I started doing my research, and I'm asking, of course, more qualified teachers, my teachers, more building relationships with some amazing Pilates teachers in the industry. And I have amazing friends, very, very, very close friends of mine who run their own Pilates schools, who run their own Pilates businesses. This is the transformation that you guys need to give to your clients. You have to create that value for your client. So if you have to do a little bit of research after class, then go for it. Go and do your research after class. If you feel you need to give that value to the client, go for it and find out how they're doing. And perhaps you're not able to help your client, and this is where your level of professionalism is just going to go right sky high, because you are going to refer them out to a professional that's going to help them. If you know that your client needs physiotherapy, if you know that your client cannot get to their ultimate goal without outside help, you have to refer. So people who need physiotherapy, you need to refer them to. I have clients who come in and ask for weight loss programs. Now, of course, I'm not a nutritionist. I can't do this, but I've got a bunch of amazing nutritionists that are going to change your life around. And working with the nutritionist, I create that relationship where the nutritionist is top in her industry, she's top in her business, I'm top in my business, and we are creating that whole transformation program for our client. And this works both ways, because then the nutritionist knows my level of professionalism. She then refers people to Pilates, and there's that transformation that starts generating for your clients and for your business. That's the most important thing. So it's super important to cross-refer and to create that extra value for your clients. Really, really important. I just cannot stress that enough. That's really free advertising for you, because at the end of the day, once you create this report with nutritionists, with physiotherapists, with personal trainers, even with psychologists, with surgeons, oh my God, I cannot even think of how many connections you can create within the industry to create that brand that you slowly start growing, but successfully start growing, and that gives your name in the industry. So those are all the things that I did when I first started my business, and I hope that also gave you an insight on how I scaled my business. So I know this is a lot of information, and I'm also aware that I talk a heck of a lot, and I understand that it's maybe a lot of information to take in. That's why it's important just to maybe look at the video again and take more notes. But what you need to do is really just get into this information and understand how you can create your business in a really lean way. So you can click below this video. In the description below, there's a link to go to a download. It's a free download for you to be able to access all the information that I've given you within this video. And this is what I'm giving to you. This is why I will say to you, if I could go back in time, and when I first started my business, I wish there was somebody out there who's giving me all this information, all this free advice to help me set up my business and to help me really get started in that format where I don't need to be making so many mistakes, right? So I really hope that this has been of amazing value to you. You don't have to spend loads of money on stuff that's really not going to serve your business. Your money should be invested in the right pieces of equipment, right investment in your business. You don't have to go and look for extra things that are really not going to serve you. Don't spend money on aesthetics. Don't spend money on pretty things, because as I said before, really clients don't care. Clients care about transformation for them, not about whether you can do the workout, whether you can look good, whether you can look pretty, whether you have the best clothing. It really doesn't matter. They're looking for a transformation. They want you to transform them to what they want to be, and that is where you need to focus your investment in. Okay, I tell you, this is advice that I give you wholeheartedly from the bottom of my heart. In most businesses, it really works with giving that value, with giving that advice, and with being super honest with your clients. Remember, it's going to be a cost of your time at the very initial stages, but that time will pay off, and eventually be able to scale your business in a place that's going to create a six-figure sum that I'm generating, that a lifestyle business that you'll be able to have, that's not going to be created so easily if you make so many mistakes like I did in the beginning, right? Grab that little cheat sheet that I have down below. Remember, there's an upcoming video to explain a little bit more about how to create your pricing. I'll be sending that and I'll be uploading that next. If you like this video and if you like the content, hit the like below, subscribe, and I'd love you to share it with your friends and family every time that you watch it. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Let me know if this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.